You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College League Podcast. I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter. Here to talk about the latest in Auburn, basically just football and basketball news right now, as spring practice is officially underway for Auburn football, and Hugh Freeze held his first press conference of the spring season. Now, I will say, earlier I did this season, I said that the 8A game, 2 tickets would be given away for the winner of the March Madness tournament, but I guess it has to be merch because 8A is no longer a game. It's no longer a spring game. It's more of just a practice, an hour-long practice, and then an autograph session after that. And, you go on about the rest of the day. Usually 8A is centered around what you can do afterwards, which is the baseball or softball typically have their games around that time period as well. And it's usually, I think it's both the home game. I can't remember who exactly Auburn's playing for both of those weeks. But regardless, 8A, as we know it, probably not going to happen unless they start doing, what a bunch of coaches have been saying. What Hugh Freeze said last year, I think he maybe mentioned it this year, but talking about how spring games should turn into spring scrimmages against other teams, like using like a UAB or a Troy or South Alabama in Hugh Freeze's case, or in like how Deion Sanders or Mike Gundy have been saying, taking on another and a fellow P4 team. I think Bedlam was mentioned to come back for a spring game, which I think would be an absolute disservice to how, I don't want to say how fun that rivalry was, but that rivalry was pretty one-sided. But it'd be very fun for the fans. And I think Colorado mentioned it was an ACC team. I cannot remember off the top of my head which team it was. I want to say it was either like Syracuse or Boston College. It was one of those two. But I mean, it would be a very fun thing to see going forward. But with 8A no longer being a 1v1 or 1v2, 2v1, you get free entry to this year's 8A game. And Hugh Freeze is able to talk about other things that went on during spring practice, which I think is another great thing about what's been going on during the spring is Hugh Freeze has been very excited about his quarterbacks thus far. He has been talking about how far ahead Deuce Knight is and how blown away he has been with Jackson Arnold's decision-making thus far. And I don't think anything he said implemented that it's a close battle. I don't even think it's really a battle in that regard. Jackson Arnold should be the starting quarterback by the time the season starts this season. And by should, I mean he will. He definitely will be. I don't see Deuce Knight getting the starting job. I think Deuce Knight at the most would be the backup redshirt emergency quarterback. I think Ashton Daniels, when he gets on campus, I think it'll give him plenty of time to kind of work into that backup role because I don't think Deuce is going to waste your eligibility sitting on the bench. I think Jackson Arnold has a good enough year. I think you're looking at potentially him going to the NFL draft and then Deuce Knight being given the keys over the course of that offseason. If Jackson Arnold were to stay another year, though, then there'd be a battle. And I think it would be pretty close. I mean, Deuce Knight, as Hugh Freeze said, is pretty far beyond schedule than what he believed it to be. But he has voiced how very optimistic he is towards what he's seen from Jackson Arnold thus far. Especially with the fact that Jackson Arnold has the best wide receiver room he's ever had, and that being the best wide receiver room in the SEC, full of names like Cam Coleman, Horatio Fields, Eric Singleton Jr., Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons, Sam Turner, Derek, and Eric Smith. All those guys kind of fill out a loaded wide receiver room, and plenty of other names that I didn't even mention there. And with that, I mean, that was a big issue with Oklahoma last year was their inability to keep wide receivers on the field. When they played Auburn in week 4 last year, they were already down to their wide receivers 6 as a starter. So when you look at what Auburn has this year, I mean, it's a very vivid improvement from what Oklahoma had last year. I just slapped my table. But super excited from what we've been hearing thus far from spring practice. Another thing we've been talking about, let's see if I'm missing anything off the top of my head. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all that was really asked about was how good the wide receivers have been and very excited towards Jackson Arnold they've been. And of course, I mean, this is the year to prove that you are what you say you are, which is a rebuilder of programs and a developer of quarterbacks. You've been giving probably the most talented quarterback you've ever had in terms of high school recruiting standards. I would definitely argue he's best of the Ole Miss guys, and he's definitely better than Peyton Thorne. And when you're given that, you're given a spring, you're given a summer, and you're given some fall practices to really develop him into the quarterback you're wanting him to be. Which, I mean, that's a quick turnaround from what you had last year. But regardless, Jackson Arnold has all the tangibles to be a top quarterback in not only the SEC, but in college football. You don't get a 5-star rating out of high school just because you won games. It's because you're really good at what you do. So I'm super excited for the season. I think it definitely feels like 8 wins or bust this year because you have such a manageable schedule to what you had last year. I think that this season works out well in Hugh Freeze's favor if you want to show the proof of concept that you are in the process and far along into rebuilding Auburn as we know it. And, of course, another thing he said about the wide receivers, because I think that's a good comment to make, is they have to make plays because and this is a quote, if that room does not have success, we won't have success. But it is one of the more talented rooms I've ever been associated with. And, I mean, that's a guy who's coached the likes of DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown. So very high praise to the wide receiver room getting from Hugh Freeze. Of course, Hugh Freeze in the spring isn't going to be bashing his wide receivers. I don't think there's been much that's been said negatively about what's been going on in spring practice. Of course, it just started, so I can't imagine it's some like heavy hitting drills yet. But pretty much everything has been said thus far has been positive. Hugh Freeze again has voiced that he doesn't like spring practices because it doesn't give a fair glance at what the team will look like in the fall because you have some people that were dealing with injuries, some people had surgeries after the season, and they're still out. I think Demarcus Riddick was one of those names that he mentioned that was missing spring practice. Xavier Chaplin. I'm trying to blank on some of the other names off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't. It's not something I don't agree with. I think spring practice is a great way of trying to work in some of your scheme into them early. And of course, Xavier Chaplin was still at spring practice. He's just not going to be a full participant in there. And of course, as you go through, I mean, he said it'd be better for OTAs, I think late summer, early fall. And of course, I mean, football starts in the summer anyways. Just to give an opportunity for the guys who are coming in over the summer to get in and try and get caught up to pace with everything. I mean, like Ashton Daniels again. I mean, he's not going to be here till the summer, and that kind of puts him far behind schedule in terms of where he could be at in the depth chart. And I don't think he was sold on the the I don't want to say dream because that's a Aiden Holloway thing. Told that he would be the starting quarterback. I don't think he probably was told to be a battle for it, but I think with him coming in the summer, it pretty much sets in stone they would not be Ashton Daniels going forward. That's what we've been hearing from spring practice as it is officially underway this week. Of course, you'll have a few more weeks of spring practice before the final spring practice, which of course is taking place of A-Day. So the March Madness tournament winner will now be getting a t-shirt from the Feelin' Loopy stores, and you'll be able to get a nice little, I say Feelin' Loopy store, the War Report store. Check out that commercial as we go on to a little break. Other side of this break, we'll be previewing Auburn basketball as they prepare for the Sweet 16 tomorrow at like midnight. It's like 8:30 at night. Just very sucky time. With that being said, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program.
Available on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop, second page. You'll find the Feelin' Loopy t-shirt and the college loop hat with items you can wear in your entire life. But of course, the merch, it's only one way to support the channel. The best way to support the channel is, of course, by liking, by commenting, and by subscribing. Who are you looking forward to from spring practice? What names do you want to hear the most out of guys who are stepping up their game during spring practices as we get ready for Sweet 16? Auburn takes on 5-seeded Michigan at 8:40 p.m. CST. Good Lord, I hate that time so much. I know some people said they were for it. I am just very much not for it. So Auburn, we taking on Michigan. Auburn currently a 9.5-point favorite and has an 80% chance of winning this game. I'm fairly optimistic in Auburn's abilities here. Of course, Michigan's been pretty good in this tournament. They've been getting some close wins. You beat UC San Diego by 3. They took over versus Texas A&M, which was a pleasant surprise. I did not want to play Texas A&M, if anything. But I mean, if they beat A&M and they beat them by, I want to say that's 12 points, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And they match up pretty well versus Auburn, but height-wise, I mean, this is going to be one of the first times Auburn is taking on a team that probably, or most definitely, rivals them in height. Currently, Michigan has 2 players on their team that are 7'1" and 7 foot in their own regards. Their 7'1", I believe, if this is correct, is averaging 16 points per game, 7 rebounds, which is leading the team in points. Their other guy who's 7 foot is leading the team in rebounds with 9.8, and a guy who I'm pretty sure Auburn fans are very familiar with, as he was a part of that Yale team last year that took out Auburn in the first round. He's also averaging 13 points per game. And the big storyline of this game is, of course, Trey Donaldson, the point guard, formerly known as an Auburn Tiger, but now a Michigan Wolverine. And he is going to be a tough guy to lock down. And again, this is going to be a true test for Auburn going forward. I mean, you were able to step up versus Creighton. You were able to turn things around versus Alabama State, but you're going to have to keep Michigan in your rear view the entire game if you want to win this game. Michigan is a hard-fighting team who's going to give you every single thing they have for 40 straight minutes with, timeouts and halftime in between there. But Trey Donaldson is going to be leading the charge for them. Then, of course, he's the assist leader. And he definitely has shown development from what we saw him last year. 11 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, again, 4.2 assists, shooting 43% from the field. Michigan is going to be a tough win for Auburn no matter what, if they're able to win. Of course, as I said, I mean, off the bat, I'm confident in Auburn's ability in this game, but Michigan is a team that shoots the ball very well. I mean, they're 7'1". I want to try to say his name, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Vladislav Golden, shooting 61% from the field, but I don't imagine he's actually shooting from deep as somebody who's 7'1". 1.4 blocks per game, also tied with Danny Wolf, the former Yale center, who is also 7 foot tall. 1.4 blocks per game. Again, this is a game that Auburn's going to have to put everything into it to get the win. This is not a game you can just coast through like you did with Alabama State. It's not a game that so Creighton relied heavily on their 3-point game to get back into the game. And in the first half, it worked out well for them. They were up by 2 at halftime, and then they just couldn't shoot the ball well anymore. Michigan, not a team that's going to rely heavily on a 3-point shot. They're going to try to drive in. They're going to try to get to the paint. They're going to try to get those second chance points, which is something Auburn has, struggled against teams that are taller than doing. Auburn has struggled with getting their own second chance points, getting their own rebounds after missed shots. This is going to be a tough game. Auburn, I don't think, is going to be scoring their average, which is like 80 points a game. This is going to be a low-scoring affair. You look at Michigan. Michigan was able to put up 91 points versus Texas A&M. I don't think either team puts up 90 in this game. If I had to assume, I'm looking at 80 points at the most, because this is going to be a game where it is going to be grueling to watch. It is going to be tough. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I'd argue, it could be one of the top games of the tournament in general, but definitely one of the tougher games, or one of the more fun games to watch in terms of how evenly matched these two teams can be out of the Sweet 16. Of course, you got Ole Miss and Michigan, which will be taking on each other, I think, right before the Auburn game tomorrow. Games like Florida and Maryland, which, you pretty much assume Florida won that game, but Maryland would not be a team to bat your eyes over. Of course, if you're looking at Auburn moving forward, you don't want to see Florida in the Final Four. Texas Tech and Arkansas. taking on each other tonight as the show comes out at 9:00 p.m. Of course, Florida tonight at 6:30. Other games going on: Duke, Arizona tonight at 8:40. And BYU, Alabama going on at 6:09 tonight. And then tomorrow games, Houston and Purdue and Kentucky and Tennessee will be fun games to watch as well. Back to the Auburn game, of course. This game will be you'll be able to see what kind of team this Auburn team is going forward. I think if you win this game outright, I think you feel pretty confident going forward. Of course, I'm scared about seeing Ole Miss twice in a year, or sorry, correction, 4 times in a year. I divided it by 2 there. Sorry. But with it being 2 7-footers, I don't think Auburn's going to win the rebounding battle here. And with that, they're going to have to shoot the ball extremely well. Miles Kelly and Denver Jones and Tahad Pettiford and Chad Baker-Mazara are the guys I'm looking for Auburn to step up here. Of course, last game, Jedi Broom and Miles Kelly did not have the best nights scoring versus Creighton, and it was taken over by players like CBM, like Tahad Pettiford, who were able to put up double-digit points. I think it was 23 from Tahad, and it was 17 from Chad Baker-Mazara. You have got to have your scorers score in this game. You can't have slumps coming out. Denver Jones at 15 points. When you have guys who are 7 foot tall waiting for you in the paint, it's going to be very hard to drive in and get those tough buckets. That's going to be on the arms of Jedi Broom and Dylan Cardwell to get those tough buckets. But when you talk about this game, you have to rely heavily on your ability to shoot from the mid-range to the perimeter. And you're looking at Denver, Tahad, Miles, and Chad Baker-Mazara to get those tough shots. Draw fouls in this game. That's going to be another thing Auburn's going to have to do here is draw fouls. I mean, when you have 2 guys that tall waiting for you in the paint, I mean, you can try to draw a foul off of them, and it would do you some good to get them guys out of the game. Then that's pretty much how I see Auburn winning this game is taking advantage of those opportunities they're given. Do I think Auburn is going to blow away in this game? Absolutely not. I think this game is going to be tough. I think it's going to be hard fought. I think it's going to be down to the wire. I don't see either team, even if Michigan wins, I don't see them winning by a lot. I think this game could end up being pretty low scoring, and I'm looking at the regards of what I saw from the Michigan UC San Diego game, or just something even lower than that. I think this game is going to probably be, I'm going to say 72-68 Auburn. Auburn gets some shots down the stretch. Auburn heats up. You take advantage of guys that you can try to knock out by drawing fouls on them. But ultimately, I think Auburn gets the win in this game. I think they move on to the Elite 8, where they're either going to meet Ole Miss or Michigan State, which I can't lie. Michigan State, even though they're the 2 seed, I'd rather see them in the Elite 8 than a team that is right now very hot after beating down number 3 Iowa State and then taking down what seemed to be a hot UNC team. I think beating a team 4 times in a year is pretty much impossible at times. I say Michigan State would be the team I would like to meet instead of Ole Miss. But I mean, Auburn has the talent. Auburn has the coaching. Auburn has everything proven this season that they can beat anybody in front of them. So, yeah, right now I'm going to go with Auburn. I'm not touching that spread. If I'm a betting man, I'm not touching Auburn spread. But if I was a betting man, I also would never bet on Auburn in any regard, capacity, or anything. Auburn could have won every game by 100 points, and I still wouldn't touch them with a 9-foot pole on a betting odds. So, yeah, with that being said, that's going to do it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Auburn gets the dub versus Michigan tomorrow at 8:40 or tonight, depending on when you're watching this? And let me know what you think. Do you think Auburn wins by their spread? Do you think it's going to be a tough game? Who do you rely on for this game to take over for Auburn to get the win and move on to the Elite 8? Thanks for watching some of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter, and of course Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLENLERCK. And of course, find me on all social platforms for the College Loop on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all of the College Loop, of course, right here on YouTube, which you like, comment, and subscribe. All caps on subscribe. We're getting so close to 1,000 subscribers. It'd be super cool to reach that milestone. And of course, audio versions of the show as well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. I want to thank everybody once again for watching some of the College Loop Podcast. And as always, War Eagle.